Hello, my name is AJ Goldsby. I'm a life master from Pensacola, Florida, and I'm coming to you today to bring you another video in my series of chess videos. This was a little game that was featured on the Chess Games website back in, just very recently, and it was a problem of the day one day. And I was so taken by this little game that I decided to go ahead and annotate it and make a web page out of it. Now, I have not finished the web page. In fact, I've just begun the web page. It will probably be several more days before the web page is finished. But I like go ahead and getting the video. It kind of obligates me to makes me work harder on the web page, and I can dedicate some time to that in the next few days. And within the next week, I should have the web page finished because it's not that complicated of a web page. There's not a lot of detailed analysis. But anyway, I wanted to go ahead and bring you this video. Again, it was featured as a problem of the day recently on the Chess Games website. Ljubojevic was white, and Sergei Makarichev was black. It was played at the Amsterdam Masters Tournament, actually Grandmaster Tournament, in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, in 1975. And without any further ado, we're just going to go ahead and jump right into the game. The first move was e4, e5, knight f3, knight f6. Knight takes e5, d6, 4 knight f3, knight takes e4, d4, d5, bishop d3, bishop e7, white castles there. Now, just to let you know, the engine's like knight c3 there, and I have tried that online in Blitz and gotten some pretty good positions with it. So it's a playable move. But just trying to help, maybe if you don't know this opening, also learn this opening. But white just castles. That's obviously very good. You don't want to, some lines you don't want to play c4, knight c3 too early because the bishop comes to b4, and that causes you developmental problems. But anyway, white castles, knight c6, rook e1. Now that's the old main line. The newer line today, the one that the Grandmasters are playing today, we'll just very briefly explore that. That's c4, knight b4, bishop e2, black castles, knight c3, bishop e6. This is, if you want to see this line further, you can see MCO that 15, it's page 98, column number 1 in all notes. And also, too, I'm pretty certain that this same opening was played recently in the first Carlsen-Anand World Championship match that was concluded just recently. Actually, just last year, I guess it was. But anyway, in that match, that Carlsen won the World Championship. And the Russian or the Petrov defense was also played there. But just backing up really quickly, all right, we're just going to run through the opening moves here again really quickly. e4, e5, knight f3, knight f6, knight takes e5, d6, knight f3, knight takes e4, d4, d5, bishop d3, bishop e7, white castles rather, knight c6. Now this is the older main line, rook e1. I was playing chess already back in the 70s, and this, I know for a fact this used to be the old main line. It was the way everybody played, the game, the main line back in those days. And of course that's changed today. But anyway, this is the older main line, and this is what a lot of the masters were playing at that time. Bishop g4, c3, f5. Black. Notice that black at f5, black's anchored his knight on b3. Queen b3, black castles. You could almost give that an exclam. There was once upon a time moves played like rook b8 or queen, moving the queen or playing b3, trying to defend this pawn. But this is a much better move. Now here it is white to move, and it's a very important move. I'm going to stop talking for a second, and you just pick a move. And I'm going to pause the video. When I pause the video, I'd like you to stop the video and just see if you can't guess the next couple of moves here, because there's some surprises coming up, and this will make it more fun for you. Now I'm going to just pause the video for just a second, so I'd like you to just pause the video yourself and just think about this position for a couple of minutes. Okay, if you did like I asked, you paused the video. Did you try to guess what the next move is? Now, most of you probably already guessed that the next move is a developing move, knight at b1 to d2, and that was correct. That's the correct move here. If you know anything about the player that is white, Ljubojevic, he was something of a risk taker. One time he was one of the top grandmasters in the world. I guess that was the early 1980s. In fact, at one time I believe he was as high as number 3 or 4 in the world. But anyway, he was white. He was known as something of a risk taker. Here he played a move, knight fd2. Now, that's a very, generally, any opening book will tell you that it is bad to move backwards. It is bad to make undeveloping moves. In other words, to move a piece that has already been moved once and to move it again, because that involves a loss of time in the opening. And, you know, that's what white's doing. Now, white actually has several threats now. I can see why white played this move. The first threat is knight takes e4, f takes e4, bishop takes e4. Black can't recapture with this pawn because of the pin there on the b3 to g8 diagonal. That's number one. White also has an ancillary threat or a minor threat of taking the b pawn. And also white has a major threat here of just say f3 here, forking the knight and the bishop. So there's a lot going on here, and if f3, knight takes knight, knight takes knight, and white has succeeded in a major way because he's kicked this knight off of the e4. So that's basically, I think, what white's goal was here. Now comes a very sharp rejoinder. Once more, I'm going to pause the video just very briefly, and I'd like you to pause the video again and see if you can't guess what black's move will be. Okay, I'm going to pause the video now, and I'd like you to do the same. Okay, if you did like I asked, you paused the video. Were you able to guess correctly what black's move is going to be? Don't feel bad if you didn't. I'll just tell you, I didn't get it right when I first looked at this game, and it's just a tremendous shot. I mean, black plays an amazing move. He plays knight takes f2, just a double exclam move, just an amazing, amazing shot. It's one of those moves that, you know, it's just though it's typical. I will say it's typical. In open games, in other words, open games being games that start with a king-pawn opening, both players play their king-pawn out 2 squares on the first move. In open games, generally, one miscue is very often punished in drastic fashion. If you've never studied a king-pawn opening and all you've studied are some of the closed openings, or all you've seen is the grandmasters playing chess, and they generally play a little bit more queen-pawn than they do king-pawn, then you may not have that familiarity with open games like I do. But I can just tell you, in open games, mistakes are very drastically punished, and here this is what black does. Knight takes f2. Of course, white can decline the sacrifice, but then black's just a pawn up, so white goes ahead and takes the knight. King takes f2, bishop h4 check. Now there's threat of, you know, like if the king goes back to g1, then just bishop takes rook, and, you know, black wins a lot of material. So that's just not even remotely possible. So g3 is forced. That's 100% forced, and now black plays f4. Okay, I hope you're following along with this because this is a very good game. All right, now the threat is just pawn takes pawn with a discover check on the open file. If, you know, white decides to take the bishop, pawn takes knight, queen takes pawn check, and white will just get toasted. I'll tell you there. That's just a wide open position. The white king will get toasted. You don't want to activate the queen in such a manner. You know, you could literally get checkmated. That's just not a good idea. And also, if white made, say, a careless developing move and played a move like, say, a4, just playing this to show you, suggesting this so you can understand what black's threat is, then black plays f4 takes g3, discover check. It's a double check and a discover check, and again, once more, the white king is toast. So again, you know, white's move is forced. He's got to get off the file. King g2, and now black plays f takes g3. At this point, I'm not really sure what the computers were thinking, and it doesn't matter anyway. If you fire up any engine, then, you know, they'll pretty much show you that, you know, this game is already lost for white. But white played an interesting move here. I think the computer said that h takes g3, queen g5 is forced. Right, that was the computer line. I spent days exploring that line. I explored it many moves deep. I'll save that for the webpage. But anyway, in the actual game, king takes g2, f takes g3, white played this move. He played bishop to e4. Okay, I know what the idea was. He has the threat of queen takes pawn check and exchanging off the queens. That's number one. But he also has many other threats too. And the idea is, you know, if he can get black to run backwards and play bishop e6, then, you know, basically white shouldn't have any problems. White can play bishop f3, and then maybe he's okay there. So that was the point of that move. And now once more, I'm going to pause the video. And when I stop talking, I'd like you to pause the video again and see if once more if you can't guess what black's move is. And just to let you know, this was the actual position of the problem of the day for Saturday on the Chess Games website. This was the problem of the day for Saturday, January 18th, 2014. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, and I'd like you to do the same. Okay, as you can see, black played this tremendous shot. He played bishop h3 check. Don't feel bad if you didn't guess that. That's kind of a hard one to see. Just to let you know, the bishop's off limits. Let's say you take the bishop, check, check there, king g2, rook f2 check, king h1, queen h3, and black's, you know, winning. It's a Fritz sees a mate in just a couple of moves. If you don't believe that or you want to see the proof of that, then what I would suggest you do is, download your favorite engine, or if you already have a chess engine. If you're a chess aficionado, then you already have your own engine. But fire up your favorite engine and see if you can explore that line a little bit better. But here, this is where black plays this amazing move, bishop to h3 check. White's next move is pretty much forced. He goes king g1. That's all forced. Obviously taking the bishop, but we already looked at that. That was very bad. And now g takes h2. Black king took on h2. Probably it was better to hide the king in the corner, but at this point I don't think it matters anymore. Black is quite lost, but here white played king takes g2. And now queen d6 check, king h1, and bishop takes e1. This was actually very good, but believe it or not, I think a lot of the engines like to move bishop e6 here. And I'm going to save my analysis for the web page because that's what the game is really about. We're just going to finish off the game very quickly. But in the actual game, bishop takes e1. White could have literally resigned right here. I mean, black is winning easily on material, but white plays on a few more moves. Queen takes d5 check, queen takes d5, bishop takes d5 check, king h8, knight f3, bishop g3, knight g1, bishop f1, knight d2, ra e8, knight e4. This was a slight misplay by white, but it doesn't matter because, white, there's no way black, first of all, white's down material. And secondly, black's got a raging attack. All of his pieces are participating, whereas black's, white's pieces are, it's pretty obvious with these pieces over here on queen side that, nothing's developed. There's no way that white should be able to survive this position. White played knight e4, and black now finished off with a very nice sack. He played rook takes c4, and I would have liked the game to end right here. It would have been great if Ljubojevic had resigned right here. This would have been one of the greatest miniatures of all time, probably. I mean, it would have had to been in the top 50 easily of chess miniatures ever played, because it would just be a brilliant, outstanding example of just unbelievable chess, top flight chess. But anyway, white did play on perhaps to avoid a miniature, or maybe he just wasn't convinced that he was losing yet, but for whatever reason, white did play on for a few more moves. Bishop takes e4, rook f2. Now you can see the threat of mate. The threat of mate is simply rook to h2 checkmate. In other words, if b4, move the bishop out, bishop here attacking the rook, then the rook goes simply to rook to f2 checkmate. Is this threat of mate that forces white to shed material. He's got to move that knight on g1 because he has no other way of stopping the mate. Now bishop g2 check, king g1, bishop takes f3, and bishop takes f3, rook takes f3, and here white finally resigns. He's basically just down a piece and a couple of pawns on the king side. There's really no point in playing on. This was stellar play by a grandmaster named Makarichev, Sergei Makarichev, and I've heard of him, just briefly, just rather, just, in fact, I've seen some of his losses. I don't believe I've ever studied one of his wins before. So this was a first for me. And this was kind of a painful thing for me because I'm a big fan of the grandmaster playing white, Ljubojevic. He's just a tremendous player, and I remember his glory days when he was easily in the top 10 of the world. He played really amazing, exciting chess. So this was a tiny bit painful for me to go over one of his losses, but it was a great game. It's a really fantastic game, and you can go over this game. I'll post a link on the webpage, on the video. Rather, I'll post a link to the Chess Games website as soon as I post the video on YouTube. And I'd like to thank you for watching my video. If you enjoy my videos and my web pages, I'd like you to go to the Chess Games website. If you enjoy my videos and my web pages, please go to the PayPal website, and make a donation under my email, which is LifeMasterAJ@yahoo.com. Again, that's LifeMasterAJ@yahoo.com. Thank you for watching my video, and have a great day.